Welcome back everyone. Dr. Phil discusses Israel and Palestine with Nerdeen Kiswani. We know he's trying to move into politics, heavily focusing on October the 7th. He's never showed any interest before, and now all of a sudden it seems like this is all he wants to talk about. And just like every other Israeli official, it's all talk with zero evidence. Even when evidence is brought forward, it's simply dismissed. Let's take a look.
Holding hostages right now as we speak.
Why wouldn't I bring that up? Yeah, there are mass rapes against Palestinians. It should be headline news. Instead, it's been met with complete media silence. The same media that ran with completely fabricated stories that the UN has said have not been substantiated about rapes on October 7 is now ignoring actual evidence of Israeli soldiers using sexual violence as a weapon of war. So why shouldn't I bring that up? Why aren't you outraged? Why is the media silent when Palestinians are the victims? Because these atrocity campaigns were never about the truth. They were about manufacturing consent for genocide. And if Israel really cared about their hostages, then they would have moved forward with the hostage deal that Palestinians have agreed to, that they have been trying to get done since for the last 18 months. But instead, they continue to bomb them because they don't care about their hostages. They have the Hannibal Directive that essentially allows them and promotes them killing their own people to achieve a political goal.
Ignoring actual evidence has been widespread across Western governments, and Nerdeen Kiswani makes a very valid point. The emphasis by Israel has been the release of hostages. 2 points that need to be made here. Firstly, Netanyahu explicitly said that even with the release of hostages, the onslaught will continue. Secondly, and more importantly, if Israel really cared so much about the hostages, then how does that coincide or sit side by side with something called the Hannibal Directive, where you shoot and kill your own people? Makes no sense.
You can't possibly believe what you're saying. You know that hostages are being held. You know that hostages are being tortured, and you know that the Hamas imperative is to kill every Jew in Israel and in Western civilization. Do you deny that?
Again, I'm not sure why you're asking me questions about Hamas when I'm not a spokesperson. I'm not speaking on behalf of Hamas. I'm speaking broadly on the aspirations, the beliefs of the Palestinian people. So yes, I do believe in everything I say, and I believe that most Palestinians, actually do agree with it. And I'm not sure why you're just skirting over any evidence that I'm bringing towards you, that I'm bringing forward about the sexual violence, the atrocities that Palestinians face, that you have still yet to comment on, that you have still yet to condemn.
Will you condemn Hamas?
I'm not sure why you bring up, everything back to Hamas as if things started with Hamas or started with October 7th. Israel attacked my people. Israel tortured my family members. Israel forced my family off of their land decades and decades before Hamas ever existed. I'm not here to condone or condemn or speak on behalf of any political party in Palestine. I didn't get the opportunity to grow up or live in Palestine. I lived my whole life in the United States because my family, my people are in exile. So, that's not what I'm here to speak about.
I don't know where this guy got his doctorate from. He claims that Hamas want to kill every Jew in Israel and Western civilization. Where's the evidence for this? Okay, no evidence. Sometimes actions speak louder than words. What makes more sense? Hamas wanting to kill every Jew in the world, or the terrorist state of Israel wanting to kill every Palestinian? Based on history, based on recent events, based on the death toll of both states, which one makes more sense?
Let me tell you, if they're committing genocide in Gaza, then why are they warning people in Gaza that they are getting ready to do an attack in an area so they have an opportunity to clear the area before they drop missiles in that area? Why are they warning them? They're not committing genocide there. Their stated, demonstrated intent to defeat Hamas, not to eradicate Palestinians. They provide food, they provide water, they provide aid, they allow for evacuations, they warn civilians before airstrikes so they can minimize harm. And
they don't allow for evacuations.
They absolutely allow. They warn them ahead of time, and Hamas keeps them from leaving.
Gaza is the most densely populated region in the entire world, if not or one of the most densely populated regions. So this is just false that they, have this opportunity to leave.
Does
Even when
Hamas
they told
embed themselves
Can I
within
finish
civilian
and
areas?
respond to you?
Does
Is that
Hamas
possible?
embed themselves in civilian areas using
Again,
human
I'm not a
shields?
spokesperson for any organization, so I'm not sure why you're asking me, about Hamas. But if you're going to use the human shields argument, then you can say Israel used human shields by having people live on a border of a place that they are that they have been blockaded, that they have put under siege for 2 decades. So when you say they give them water or allow them water, they're the ones restricting water. They're the ones who made Palestinians live in a non-contiguous Swiss cheese-like structure where Palestinians in Jerusalem, the West Bank, Palestinian citizens of what is now called Israel cannot see each other.
These people are really starting to piss me off. What about the Al-Mawasi camp? Considered a safe zone, an airstrike killing 65 people. What about the bombing of the Gaza kitchen? NBC News reported the IDF dropped leaflets stating 3 locations as being safe: Tal al-Sultan, Al-Zuhr neighborhoods, and Al-Shabura. All 3 locations were bombed. This guy's talking complete and utter shite and shows a clear lack of care and humanity he has for others. He then talks about food, water, electricity, which is controlled by a flick of a switch by the occupying state. Why is so-called Dr. Phil saying they are allowing this when Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, clearly stated this has stopped?
You're quite right, because in 1948, there was an establishment and it was accepted by Israel, but it was rejected by Palestine. They have had numerous opportunities to have a 2-state solution since at least the 1940s.
Why would Palestinians accept giving 51% of our land to 6% of the population that was newly immigrated at the time? Why would anyone accept settler colonialism? We fought against British colonialism. We fought even against the Ottoman Empire. Why would anybody accept willingly to be colonized?
So what do you want to happen? What do you want to happen? The Palestinians have rejected a 2-state solution on 13 different occasions beginning in 1937 with the Peel Commission, the UN partition plan. I can go on up through and including 2020. So what do you want to happen?
I believe that one democratic state where people of all different religions can live together in peace, as they did prior to the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, where you are not granted supremacy based on your religion. And I believe that the indigenous people of Palestine, should be repatriated, should be given the right of return as stipulated in UN Resolution 194, which none of these solutions that you just posited, and these 2-state solutions allows that, as an option. I believe that there must be reparations for the Palestinian people who've lost their land, who've been languishing in refugee camps and neighboring Arab countries for decades, for over 75 years at this point, and those who wish to live peacefully among their neighbors, who wish to be part of the Palestinian nation building project, can continue to do so. We even have Jewish people in my group within our lifetime. So,
how many Jews live in Gaza now?
Well, if you're going to bring that up, Israel is actually the one who decided to withdraw their population. So,
yeah.
And under this context of siege, blockade, and genocide, this is just a silly argument to bring up to begin with. You cannot have peace without justice.